So thanks for joining us on Darlow Fans Radio, sponsored by Tempest Jones, and we're almost underway here. Darlington v Gainsborough Trinity. The referee's just doing a quick head count and making sure everyone's in the right half. The Darlington are going to be kicking towards the open end first half, and Gainsborough kick off. Play the ball back to Matthew Sparrow, who diagonally plays one down into the right hand side, and Terry Galbraith, wearing number 6 today, is going to try and ease that one out of play and just manages to shrug off the attentions of number 10, Captain Nathan Jarman for Gainsborough. So Darlington win the throw in. On the far side, comes down the line. Mark Beck, as you'd expect, is the one to win that first aerial ball, but the ball in truth is just bobbling about between player and player as everybody tries to get some control of it, and eventually it goes back to George Willis in goal for Gainsborough Trinity. He kicks long. The aerial battle there is between Jarman and Galbraith again, and Jarman comes away with the ball, tries to play a little one down the line there, but that's picked up by Jordan Watson. Watson's clearance just goes out to play for a throw in to Gainsborough, just halfway inside Darlington's defensive half. Watson playing left back today. Looks like Galbraith and Brown, the two centre backs, and Liam Mars at right back. Sun shining down. Gainsborough take the throw in tight inside to Wiles. Wiles gives it back, and Gainsborough just trying to have a long range shot there, and Pete Jameson had to go and get a hand on that and push it past the post. That was a worthwhile effort from Gainsborough, and Pete Jameson having to be awake and alive there.
Decent little effort, snapshot from about 20-25 yards out, heading for the bottom corner. Yeah, as you said, Jameson had to be alert to that and deal with the danger, and first corner of the game goes to Gainsborough.
So we're at the Sainsbury's end where that burger bar is. It's going to be a Gainsborough Trinity in-swing and left-footed corner. Comes into the box. And the first header is won by Terry Galbraith, and the second header is won by Stephen Thompson. And Thompson nods it into space down this right-hand side and clears it. But the sliding tackle comes in from Matthew Sparrow, and he puts the ball out of play for a Darlington throw-in. But Stephen Thompson and Terry Galbraith between them doing the defensive work there. Liam Mars goes to collect the ball and rubs it on his jersey. Throws it down the line to Beck. Beck wins the header, but the second touch comes off a Gainsborough head. So it's going to be a Darlington throw in again, maybe 20 yards down the line there. Mars again throws it down, and Beck wins that one, but the referee said he gave a little nudge in the back of number 11, Jordan Thewlis there, and the whistle goes, and that's going to be a free kick to Gainsborough just in front of our commentary position.
Early indications looking at the formation, I think both sides are lining up pretty much standard 4-4-2. Darlow, Galbraith and Brown in the middle, Watson and Mars fullback, Thompson on the right, Gillies on the left in midfield, Turnbull and Falkingham in the middle, and Beck and Hardy up front. And much the same lineup for Gainsborough.
So George Willis, the goalkeeper, is going to come and take this one. It's maybe 20 yards inside his own half. He's not in a special hurry here to take this one in his bright orange goalkeeper outfit. Kicks it diagonally, right-footed, and it's Watson who wins that first header and nods it down towards the space where Liam Hardy was patrolling, and Hardy gets there just after the defender and blocks the ball out for a throw into Gainsborough Trinity. Just where the visitors' dugout is there, if you're familiar with the setup here at Heritage Park. Throw in taken down the line. It's a long throw in actually, and Gary Brown's having to scamper back there with Jarman. Jarman just does enough to be able to play the ball off Jordan Watson's shin for a throw in far side, probably about 15 yards from the Darlington goal line on that far side, so it's going to be a throw in for Gainsborough. Let's see, I don't know whether they've got any long throw specialists in the team or not, but the taker is going to be Josh Lacey, the fullback. I think he's the one who seems most likely to take this. Again, Gainsborough not in a special hurry to move this game on, as you wouldn't expect them to be. Lacey looks for an option. It's going to be short. He finds James Reid in a bit of space, and Reid comes all the way back to one of his defenders who's got some space to move into there. It's a shot which was not connected with properly, probably by Brad Beatson, and Darlington get the chance to break, and the break comes as Turnbull plays the ball to Hardy, and Hardy's made a little error there inexplicably. I think he's dribbling the ball under not a great deal of pressure, just ran it out of play. So Darlington missing a little opportunity to try and counter-attack there. Hardy's chuckling to himself. I think he realises that was just an error. So Beatson, the left back, takes this one. Liam Mars wins the header, and it comes to Falkingham. Falkingham heads it forward towards Beck, and Beck drops it off to Stephen Thompson. Thompson just puts a hopeful one down the line there for Liam Hardy to chase, and between Beck and Hardy they're putting Number 6 picked and under a little bit of pressure, but it's bounced back to George Willis, the goalkeeper, who comes and indicates to his team to just calm down a little bit and relax, I think, is the ask there. Kicks it long out of his hands. That one's gone very high, and Terry Galbraith got a little bit of a nudge there, and the referee agrees. So Paul Newhouse, today's official, says that's a free kick to Darlington. Midway inside Darlington's own half. Terry Galbraith on it with that left foot. And he just clips the ball forward, coming up to the edge of the box where Mark Beck competes, gets the ball to Hardy. Hardy's got time with back to goal here, gives it back to Beck. Beck has a shot, straight to the goalkeeper's arms, and he just spills it on the 6-yard box and then calms it down. Beck's left foot shot just took a little clip on the way through there, Michael, and Willis did well.
Indeed he did. Good work from the free kick by Beck and Hardy combining to set that one up. Beck with the flick on, Hardy able to bring it down, lay it off, and then Beck shot straight at Willis in the end, but a decent effort for Darla.
So Gainsborough back on the attack, but he's overrun the ball there, and it comes to Gillies, and Gillies knocks it inside to Turnbull. Turnbull prods it forward intelligently with the outside of his boot, and Liam Hardy's trying to say that he was fouled there by Ian Evans, and the referee agrees. Darlington trying to just go. That's the first time I've seen Darlington try and move the ball with a little bit of urgency there on the free kick, as they tried to drop it down and take it quickly, but Gainsborough stopped them doing that. Galbraith gives it into Hardy's feet. Hardy knocks it back to Falkingham. Falkingham in the middle of the pitch there plays a nice ball out to Thompson. Thompson's got his full back to try and beat, gets a cross in, good cross. Mark Beck's under it, gets the downward header, it's just gone wide of the post. Unlucky for Darlington.
I think a few fans thought that was in at this end of the ground.
Was it Mark Beck or was it Gary Brown, Michael? It looked as if it was going to be Beck, but Brown's in they look quite similar.
I thought it was Beck, I must admit.
Yeah, I thought so. It was at that angle where you sit in these seats at Heritage Park sometimes and you think it's hit the back of the net and then realise it's just gone wide and hit the fence behind. But that's Darlington's best attack, and Falkingham played a nice ball out to Thompson, who was in space. He didn't beat his man Thompson, he just knocked the ball, made a little bit of space for his feet and delivered a nice right-footed cross, and the header just went wide. Kick goes, again it's Galbraith who's dominating that one in the air, and the headed ball back's going to bounce through to Pete Jameson, and he just had to wait there to reached him on the edge of his box, and he scampers over to this near side and drops the ball down in front of him so he can clear the ball with his right foot off the floor. Beck's the target. Beck trying to win that header and does very well to do so under pressure, knocks it down to Thompson. Thompson's looking again to go around the inside, then the outside. He's got Mars if he needs him. He does find Mars indeed. Mars gives him the option. Mars comes back to Turnbull. Turnbull just trying to find a bit of space. He sees Thompson, he lets the ball go. Gillies is on it on the edge of the box with a chance to cross. Gillies puts the cross into the box. That's a good chance for Hardy. Hardy's just put it over the bar, but nice football by Darlington. Hardy just not able to keep that effort down.
Another good move. Lots of good work being done down down the right by Darlow in these first few minutes.
Yeah, 9 minutes gone here at Heritage Park, and the first 6 or 7 passed through pretty uneventfully, but Darlington having 2 good, I'd say strong half chances there in the last couple of minutes, with 2 nice bits of attacking play down the right wing, both coming from with Stephen Thompson involved with both. Kick's taken long. It's Watson who wins it. Watson knocks it to Falkingham, and the ball drops down into Turnbull's path, so Turnbull tries to make some room on a drive. He tries to play Hardy in down that left-hand side, and the goalkeeper's made a mess of it, so the goalkeeper's well out of his ground here. Hardy's right in the corner flag. He plays it back to Gillies. Goalkeeper's back in now, but Darlington keep possession. Ball's back with Turnbull. Turnbull gives it back to Watson. Watson on that far side, left-hand side, puts the cross in. Beck's brought it down, give it to Hardy. Hardy on the edge of the box, just trying to get a chance to shoot. Comes to Falkingham. Falkingham to Thompson, the right on the corner of the box. Thompson's one-on-one with his man. He hasn't got a lot of space to work in, but he gets a great cross across. Gainsborough Trinity miss it, and Watson scoops it back into play, and the ball's still bubbling about, but eventually it's going to go back through to George Willis. But Darlington just asking a few questions of this Gainsborough Trinity defence right at the moment. Good spell.
Certainly is. As you said, I think the opening few minutes fairly cagey from both sides, but starting to open up a bit more, and Darlington starting to put a few moves together and starting to threaten a little bit. It's been a good spell.
So Willis kicks that one long. Willis, who came for the ball in the corner there, got nowhere near it. He kicks it long anyway, so we're back underway, and the ball's prodded forward for Beck to try and keep the ball in play. He's not going to be able to, and Ian Evans, who sounds like someone from Thomas the Tank Engine with that name actually, but he eases the ball out of play. So it's going to be a Gainsborough throw in on that far side. Throw-in comes down the line. Beck picks it up, is back to goal and drops it back out to Gillies, and Gillies' touch wasn't the best, but he's managed to bobble it a couple of times and keep it in very, very nicely. Gives it to Falkingham to Turnbull. Looking forward to seeing those two together today in the middle of midfield. Brown picks up the ball, knocks it wide to Mars. Mars comes inside to Thompson and then goes for the return, and Mars, if this falls nicely for him, could be the right side of the defender. But the defender gets back and covers and puts Mars under pressure, and the assistant referee doesn't give the free kick but says the ball's gone out of play for a throw into Darlington. That throw in's taken quickly, goes to Thompson. Thompson's got 2 men on him. He's going to do well to get anything out of there, and it's scooped wide by Brad Beatson, the left back for Gainsborough. But a good spell this for Darlington. So Mars back to Turnbull. Turnbull gets his head up, just looking for a space, looking for a man. Falking gives him the option, he knocks it just wide to Watson. Watson, as Darlington move from right to left. Watson crosses early. It's not quite good enough to beat the first man, but it's picked up by Gillies. Gillies back to Watson. Watson crosses right-footed. It's deep and there's nobody there. So Willis collects that one easily and decides he's going to roll on top of the ball there, as I think to try and ease a little bit of the steam out of this Darlington piece of pressure. Darlington asking some questions of Gainsborough here. Kicks long and bounces through to Gary Brown. Brown gives it to Terry Galbraith. Galbraith knocks one down the line. Mark Beck's going to be nearest to that. He tries to knock it inside to Hardy, and the defensive clearance by Jake Picton bounces off Hardy, in fact, and luckily for Gainsborough comes straight through to where goalkeeper Willis has stood. The combination of Beck and Hardy working hard and worrying and harrying the Gainsborough defence at the moment. Ball's back in the middle of the pitch. Galbraith wins another header there. He's been strong in the air so far. He's won everything that's been asked. That's a little ball clipped down the line by Alex Wiles for Gainsborough to push on. He's got the wrong side of Terry Galbraith here. There's a chance for Gainsborough. He's pulled it back, and fortunately the ball goes through the attacker. So Darlington have a chance to clear, but there was a little bit of better execution on the final pass there. Darlington could have been in trouble.
First little bit of danger from Gainsborough there. A good little move down the right, got themselves away, tried to cut back, and it was just a fraction away from where it needed to go for the attacker to get a right foot onto it, and we were able to get it clear.
So that clearance from Willis is going to bounce once and go straight through into Pete Jameson's arms. Nobody in an attacking position for Gainsborough very close to that one. Jameson kicks it again off the floor, and the ball bounces once, and it's 3 Gainsborough Trinity defenders converge on it, and it's Ian Evans who knocks it back to the goalkeeper. Willis just takes a touch and invites Hardy to press him a little bit before clearing it long. Gary Brown wins that header. Comes forward to Thompson. Thompson's touch is exquisite, and he wins the ball off the second deflection, and he gives one for Gillies to run onto. Darlington down this left-hand far side. Gillies crosses it into the box. It's a nice cross, and it's well stretched clear by Evans for Gainsborough on a full stretch in front of the goalkeeper there. Nice work again by Thompson and Gillies. Ball with Turnbull in the middle of the pitch. Stops the ball and stops the play. Has a look, see what's going on. Gives it to Watson. Watson inside to Gillies. Gillies back to Turnbull. And Darlington go back a little bit to try and bring Gainsborough out and find some quality, but in fact they've given it away there, and Sparrow's picked it up for Gainsborough, and he drives forward to see if there are any opportunities for a counter-attack here, and Gainsborough again with a poor ball in a good position, and that gives Darlington a chance to attack, and Gillies' touch is just a little heavy, but the ball's picked up by Falkingham. Falkingham, the diminutive figure of Falkingham there in the centre of the pitch, gives it to Turnbull. Turnbull back to Mars. Mars back to Gary Brown. Brown back to Turnbull. Turnbull to Gillies. Darlington playing some nice football on the ground today so far. Gillies knocks the ball back to Falkingham. Falkingham to Watson on that far side. He brings it inside to Gillies, but the ball's not quite good enough there, and it's intercepted by Alex Wiles, who was just on his toes and picked it off Gillies' feet, and Wiles feigns to cross left and instead knocks one into the corner for Ashley Worsfold to chase, and Gary Brown is going over to shepherd him there, but the touch from Worsfold was just a little heavy and runs out of play for a Darlington goal kick. So we've got 15 minutes gone here on Darlow Fans Radio, sponsored by Tempest Jones. Darlington 0, Gainsborough Trinity 0. Darlington with a couple of good half chances there. Gainsborough have had a couple of opportunities where with a better final pass they could have had Darlington in a little bit of trouble, but Darlington the better team so far, I'd say, in these early stages. Ball bounces for Phil Turnbull right in the centre circle. He plays it forward to Mark Beck's feet, and Beck slides in there, and I don't think he made contact with anybody, but he also didn't make any contact with the ball, so the referee Newhouse says You can't be sliding in and not getting anywhere near the ball when there are players near, and gives the free kick probably rightly to Gainsborough. I think we're going to see early substitution here for Gainsborough Trinity. Assistant referee's going over to see who's coming off, and it's going to be number 5, Ian Evans, who's going to be replaced. And it's Matthew Wilson who's on. So Evans goes off. He didn't look to be obviously injured that I saw. There was certainly been no stoppage for an injury. Perhaps he came into the game carrying something.
Certainly haven't seen him pick up a knock during the game. Could be tactical, and as you say, it's one of those where you sort of thought, I'll see how it goes, and unfortunately for Ian Evans, it hasn't gone well, and he's had to come off.
So Gillies is going to pick the ball up here and just drop a little one in, with the outside of his boot into Hardy's feet. Hardy goes back to Watson, who goes to Falkingham, who's pressed quickly but releases the ball nicely and safely to Gillies. Gillies, again, just trying to play probably the right ball, but not well enough inside, and Darlington lose possession. But Gainsborough can't do anything with it really, and the ball bounces off Nathan Jarman on the stretch and goes out for a throw into Darlington. Just halfway inside Darlington's own half. That sun that we were commenting on before kick-off has gone in. So Watson takes the throw in, far side. Beck wins the first ball and then comes down competing for the second and just knocks one over for Hardy to chase. But I think the substitute, Matthew Wilson, just caught Mark Beck a little bit late there, and the referee just gives a little short, shrill blast of that whistle and says that's a free kick to Darlington. It's going to be Watson that takes it, and Darlington just had a little think there about whether they're going to send the big lads forward, and they have done. So far with some of these free kicks in the first half, Darlington have played it short, but this time they've sent Galbraith and Brown forward. It's going to be Watson that takes it. Phil Turnbull and Josh Falkingham just drop in a little bit to cover. Watson surveys the scene and decides who he's going to aim for, and clips a sort of a chip ball forward at the edge of the box towards Brown. Brown wins it, knocks it inside, and Mark Beck's chasing it down but can't get there before Sparrow. Sparrow just hooks it wide with his right foot and goes out for a throw in on the far side, about halfway into Darlington's attacking half. Darlington kicking towards the open end here in this first half. 18 minutes gone. Darlington 0, Gainsborough Trinity 0. Balls from Watson to Gillies. Gets it back, clips it with his left foot into the box, and there's a flag up on this near side from the assistant referee. The referee waves him forward, and two Darlington players collide there, and the referee now decides that he's going to, I think, take the opportunity to remember about that offside flag and pull the game back for it. Two Darlington players collided there. I think Falkingham was one of them. Falkingham is indeed who's still down. Might have been Falkingham and Turnbull. Darlington's new substitute, David Sayers, has leapt from the bench there and started doing his warm-up just in case he's called on, but I think Falkingham's going to be okay. I think he just took one in the midriff. He's sort of dusting himself down and doesn't seem to be moving too badly. So Willis will take this free kick just on the edge of his own box. Willis kicks it long. Galbraith competing, and Galbraith wins, but it only comes forward to a Gainsborough player. It's Jordan Thewlis, but his ball's not quite good enough, and Hardy's chasing that clearance down, and Willis has to scoop it out of play. He had no real better options, so Darlington throw in far side, gives it inside to Falkingham. Falkingham inside to Gillies. Gillies inside, almost finding Liam Hardy there. Would have been a tremendous ball if he'd have pulled it off, but not quite. Darlington asking for a handball there off Jordan Thewlis, but the referee says no, so Gainsborough retain possession on the halfway line. Play a nice diagonal ball there for Nathan Jarman to chase, but he can't quite extend the neck far enough to pick that one up, so it goes through to Pete Jameson, and Jameson collects the ball and again scampers to the edge of his box, drops it down, trying to keep Darlington on the move here. Jameson kicking the ball nicely forward, and Hardy's trying to get on the end of that, but it's bounced twice and gone through to George Willis in the Gainsborough goal. Jameson's kicking certainly seems to be back to normal. Doesn't seem to be suffering from that injury a little bit. It was pretty patently obvious he was struggling before he took that injury break.
It does look like he's back up to full fitness. It's great to see.
So Galbraith competing for that one, and the ball sort of bounces under his feet, and he collects it, gives it to Thompson. Thompson trying to prod it forward towards Hardy, but Hardy was in an offside position. So much to the home crowd's mumbling and frustration there. I think he probably was. So if you're just joining us here, good afternoon, good morning or good evening and welcome. 21 minutes gone here, Darlington 0, Gainsborough Trinity 0. Darlington having a couple of good half chances so far. Probably the pick of the chances, but nothing you could call a kind of clear-cut sitter.
Yeah, we had a couple of good moves down the right in the sort of opening 10 minutes, quarter of an hour. I think Jameson's the only keeper who's had one to save, which was that low shot really early on, down to his left. But certainly more of the half chances with Darlow so far. Game's gone a bit quiet though.
Yeah, it's gone a little bit quiet. Not too much coming from the stands. I think everyone's sort of waiting for the game to really roar into some sort of life. Beck wins the first header but can only knock it through to Willis. Darlington playing tidily though. I think they'll be pleased with the work so far, even if it hasn't had a goal on the end of it. I've noticed that you can see with players like Gillies, Turnbull and Falkingham in the middle and Thompson as well, we're certainly going to try and be cute and clever with the ball when we've got it.
It's a fantastic midfield for sort of playing the ball on the floor and getting out wide and putting crosses in.
It is indeed. So let's see if it can be successful without the kind of more robust enforcer as we've had in there for a while over the years with Leon Scott, or perhaps the sort of extra energy of Tom Portis. But certainly on paper it looks like an excellent midfield, and keeping the ball on the deck and playing some nice stuff today so far without really carving out that clear-cut chance. Gainsborough just not going to ball. Gary Brown misses his kick there. It's a chance for Gainsborough. It's a goal for Gainsborough. Gary Brown tried to hook it away with his right foot and didn't get any connection on it, and the chance was seized upon by Gainsborough Trinity, and it's Darlington 0, Gainsborough Trinity 1 after 22 minutes. I think it was number 10, Nathan Jarman?
I think it was, yeah.
Nathan Jarman, who hasn't been involved so far so much. The ball went over the top, as I say. It was coming over Gary Brown's shoulder, and he tried to hook it clear, didn't get much connection with it, and the ball was rifled into Pete Jameson's bottom right corner. It was well finished. I think that's one thing we've noticed this season. Teams don't need too many chances.
Certainly true. It was a great finish by Nathan Jarman. As you say, Gary Brown just trying to hook the ball away, didn't make the cleanest of contacts, and ultimately it drops for Jarman to slot it into the bottom corner, and Darlow have got to come back now.
Liam Hardy was a little bit late there actually on Matthew Wilson. I think the referees are impressed. Gainsborough Trinity's players certainly weren't impressed, and I think Liam Hardy did slide in a little bit there and catch substitute Wilson a little bit late, maybe a little bit frustrated with the goal Darlington just conceded, and I think referee Paul Newhouse is just beckoning Liam Hardy towards him to have a little bit of a word. So I think at this point, Michael, 23 minutes gone. I've been a bit of a bad luck jinx on this first half of the half. I think I'll hand over to you here halfway, and you can take us into half time.
No problem. Thank you very much. So, for those who are just tuning in, it is Darlington 0, Gainsborough Trinity 1. Nathan Jarman giving Gainsborough Trinity the lead a couple of minutes ago. Although you would say Darlington have been the better side so far, they haven't really created a clear-cut chance. Gainsborough have, and they've taken it, so at the moment they're the ones with the lead, and I'll take you through to half time. Ball currently with Gainsborough. George Willis to take their free kick after Liam Hardy foul on Matthew Sparrow. Lofts the ball forward, and Jordan Watson competing for that in the air but losing out. Brown with the header from inside his own box, and again trying to clear it. This time I think it was Jarman charging through again but couldn't get onto the ball this time, and the ball's with Watson out on the left hand side. Darlow have a throw in. Watson takes this looking for Beck, and he's able to get the flick on, but the ball is going to make it through to Hardy. A couple of Gainsborough defenders there trying to clear it, but fluffing their lines. Hardy playing it out to the right for Thompson, and he's clipping it back into the box, but that's headed clear. Thompson picks it up again, comes charging towards the box. Very robust tackle by a Gainsborough defender there, but they got the ball. Turnbull plays it out to Mars on the right now. Turnbull gets it back from him, and now it's Turnbull and Mars on the right trying to work something. Flicked into the box for Gillies. Turnbull crossing right-footed, looking for Beck. And he gets up for the header, but it's wide of the goal, and the referee gives the free kick, climbing on the backs of the Gainsborough defenders there. Another good little move by Darlow, spell of possession leading to a cross into the box, which Beck did manage to win, but the referee is judging unfairly. So George Willis, the Gainsborough goalkeeper, in the bright orange shirt with the looking for a teammate in their bright yellow. Headed clear by Galbraith, but picked up by Reid on the right. Falkingham in there to slide it clear, and Gainsborough will get the throw in halfway inside the Darlow half, which they're leaving for Josh Lacey to take. Lacey looking for a teammate. A little bit of movement ahead of him. In the end it goes to Jarman, who gives it straight back and he tries to loft the ball in, but Falkingham's there to head it clear, and the ball lands with Gillies, who can bring it away on the left now. Out to back. He's got a couple of defenders for company, ultimately wins the throw in. Jordan Watson to take this more or less on the halfway line, left hand side. Taken short to Gillies, who's under immediate pressure, and Gainsborough can bring the ball away. But the little passing triangle comes to nothing, and eventually Turnbull can play it clear to Hardy, who's running down the left, but Picton will get there first and clear that into the local car park for a throw into Darlow once we get a new ball onto the pitch. Gary Brown has that now coming down. It's roughly the edge of the Gainsborough box. Gary Brown's going to wind up one of his long throws. Back in the box, Galbraith in the box, plenty of tall targets to aim for. And throw in, Beck gets the flick on, Gainsborough headed clear. Only as far as the edge of the box where Thompson was waiting, but they do manage to bring the ball away. Coming down the left now it's Jordan Thewlis, he's gone past Falkingham. Now coming down the middle of the pitch, he's got Watson and Falkingham with him. Eventually taken down by, I think it was Watson, but the referee decides it's a free kick, probably about 20-25 yards out. The referee just having a little word with Falkingham. Well, Gainsborough decide how they're going to work this free kick. Jarman, Sparrow standing over it. It is within shooting distance. They could have a go from here if they wanted to. Probably about 25 yards out, I'd say. Tall wall to get over. In the end it was Reid who took it. He does get it over the wall, and Jameson has to get down to his right to save. Second save he's up to make in this game. Good free kick from Reid. Gainsborough will have a corner, which Reid was going over to take himself. On the Gainsborough left, on this near side. Reid out swinger left footed. Darlow able to head clear, but the ball's run out to the left again, and Reid can play it inside. Ball with Beatson now, he goes past Hardy. Swings the cross in. Jameson goes for it, but can't get there, and drops to Jarman, who tries to loop it back over the top, but it's on the roof of the net. And somewhat bizarrely, to many people's confusion, the referee or the assistant has given a corner here. I'm fairly certain Jarman had the last touch on that.
Well, I'm one of the confused, Michael, I think, and I don't think there was a Darlington player close to that ball for about 3 phases of play, maybe about 10 seconds.
Beatson basically looped the ball over. Jameson went for it, but it was over him, and I think it was Brown was also trying to defend, and then Jarman just tries to loop it back over the top. It ends up on the roof of the net. No Darlow player touched it for a while, and yeah, corner. Darlow do now have a free kick, which Turnbull's taken quickly.
I think that's what you call a get out of jail free kick, that one, Michael.
Ball bobbling about in midfield a bit. Gainsborough currently have it just inside their own half, being forced back into defence, where Jake Picton will play it back to Willis. Willis's long clearance goes just inside the Darlow half, where Watson's up in the air, but Walsall gets the flick on. Galbraith chasing back, plays it back to Jameson, who clears it out for a throw-in. So throw-in for Gainsborough on the right-hand side. Josh Lacey's going to take this for them, the right back. Lacey short to Reid. He's pressed out Gillies and the ball runs loose. Forward. Darlow under a little bit of pressure here. Gainsborough having a little spell of their own to go with the one Darlow had earlier in the half. Watson able to clear that, but Worsfold charging it down. Darlow get the throw in. Just inside their own half. Watson throw in flicked on by Beck. Picked and clears long and looking for Jarman, and he's collided there with Brown. Both players still on the floor, and the referee signalling head injuries, called on both physios. Brown and Jarman having a few little battles in the last few minutes, including the one that of course led to the Gainsborough opener about 8 or 9 minutes ago now. Brown crouched, getting a little bit of attention from the Darlow physio. He is now down on the floor. Jarman's also being seen to by Gainsborough's physio. Both players getting treatment at the moment. A few players having a bit of a drinks break. Both players just challenging for a ball over the top, and just a clash of heads, I think. Jarman's up now, just checking on Brown.
Well, he's got a tough head, Gary Brown. I think we know that over the last few years, and it was Jarman who went down first, wasn't it? And Brown looked okay initially, but then when the referee's whistle went, Brown went down as well, and I think he looks to be in some discomfort there.
Yeah, he does. Nathan Jarman is now up on his feet and walking off, as players have to after they've had treatment on the pitch. Gary Brown still being treated by the Darlow physio, who has just signalled to the bench. I think it was a thumbs up.
I think that he's actually giving him. Is he giving him treatment down around his rib area there? Do you think?
Yeah.
Michael? Is that what it looks like to you?
Darlow do have Kevin Burgess back on the bench today if a change did need to be made. Brown's now sat up, still looks to be in a little discomfort, and he's back on his feet now.
Well, we know with Gary Brown, if it's possible to play on, he'll play on.
Absolutely, takes a lot to take him out of a game completely. He's a fighter.
Gainsborough having a good spell though, Michael, as we say, the last 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's the old thing about goals changing games, and it certainly has this one. A lot more confidence into the goal. Certainly the Brown-Jarman battle that's led to that clash of heads, that little injury there. A recurring theme of the last few minutes. I wonder if Gainsborough perhaps think they found a way through there that they're trying to use. Play restarts then with a Gainsborough throw in, and immediately Galbraith up to win the header. And Gainsborough will have another go. You see throw in, Reed goes looking for it, but Lacey opts not to use him, and it's with Alex Wiles now, plays it inside to Beatson, lofting it forward into the box, where Worsfold waits with Watson. Watson wins the ball. Worsfold goes down under pressure from Watson there, but the referee quite happy with the challenge. Doesn't award anything, and Darlow trying to bring the ball away, but ball out to the right. Too far ahead of any on-rushing Darlow attacker, and Gainsborough will have a throw in. Halfway inside their own half on this near side. Brad Beatson giving the ball a little clean before he prepares to launch what looks like a long throw. Jarman winning the flick on under pressure from Thompson and Mars. And the offside flag ends that attack as Jordan Hewlett looked to break clear. Brown initially taking the free kick, but chooses to leave it for Jameson. Lofts that out to the right where Beck's waiting. Ball's over him and the oncoming defender, and ultimately bounces through to Willis. Hardy and Wilson were challenging for it as well, but the ball bounces over them, and goalkeeper collects without too much trouble. It's about 35 minutes gone here then. It's Darlington 0, Gainsborough Trinity 1. Today's game sponsored by Tempest Jones. Well, this free kick ends up with Watson, who's able to loft a long clearance. Beck under pressure from Wilson, both players on the floor. Wilson applying some pressure to his back there. Nothing doing from the referee. Gainsborough trying to clear down the right, but Galbraith there to play it back to Jameson. Takes a touch and then clears it right-footed back up the pitch, looking for Beck again. And he's able to get the flick on this time. And Picton trying to get the clearing header. He did get a little bit of a flick on it. It was always going through to Willis, but I think the little flick from Picton with Hardy rushing on there just made sure. Beck and Hardy combining well earlier in the half. Flickon's not quite finding their targets at the moment. Willis clears again and Gainsborough get the flick on header without any real challenge. But Galbraith can clear that from defence and it lands with Gillies on the left. Takes a touch and plays it to Hardy. And he plays it out to the Gillies again, and Gillies are coming down the left now. Hardy and Thompson heading into the box. Hardy to Thompson. Good effort from Stephen Thompson there. Darlow worked it down the left with Gillies. He tried to cut inside and come to the box. Ball ran loose to Hardy, and then Hardy chose to play it across the box to Thompson on the right rather than shooting himself from the edge of the box. Thompson took a touch, tried to curl it left-footed into the top corner, but comfortable height in the end for George Willis to make the catch. And from Willis's clearance, Gainsborough can threaten again. Jarman with the ball out to the right, trying to work across, but Darlow get a foot in and it runs to Sparrow. And crossing from the right, that's going to go over everyone and out for Darlow goal kick. I think it was Josh Lacey with the cross there, just too high and long for everyone. Jameson taking the quick free kick. Quick goal kick to Mars, who plays it into the middle. Hardy trying to lay the header back under some pressure from Jake Picton there. And Gainsborough can bring the ball away through Sparrow. Plays it out to Lacey on the right, who plays it forward looking for Worsfold. Galbraith there with him, and back to Jameson. And back to Galbraith, Worsfold immediately pressing. Little tangle between Beck and Sparrow there, and Hardy comes away with the ball, plays it out to the left looking for Gillies. Gillies has it now, coming past Lacey. And Gillies crossed there, Lacey charging it down, ball comes off his hand, and the referee has awarded a penalty. Chance for Darlow to get back on terms here.
Yeah, referee had no mistake. There was a shout from behind the goal. Gillies got round the outside, tried to pull it back, and the referee he didn't hesitate at all. The referee just having a word with one or two Gainsborough players who were obviously protesting the decision. But it was again another great work wide by Darlow again, threatening on both wings in this first half to win the penalty. Gillies just sort of charging down the left, doing Lacey for pace, and then trying to cross it in. Lacey just gets a hand in the way, sliding into clear. Galbraith with the penalty then. Well, referee just pausing the penalty while he goes to book Nathan Jarman. I think maybe he's something he said or a little early encroachment into the box. Jarman is in the book, the Gainsborough captain and goal scorer. Galbraith being made to wait to take this penalty. Referee just warning the players again, stay outside the box. Little word with the keeper. Galbraith with the penalty, and it's saved, and the rebound is saved as well. Good save, George Willis. Certainly was. Galbraith went to his right, Willis went the right way, got a hand to it. Ball ran to, I think it was Falkingham was the first to react to the ball, and Willis was able to save the rebound as well. Great work by the Gainsborough keeper. On the resulting corner, Hardy trying to work across, but Gainsborough can bring it away. Their clearance is only going to end up with Jordan Watson, and he plays it to Mars, who goes out to the left looking for Gillies. Gillies under pressure, being forced back here, now into the middle and eventually brought down, and the referee does decide that is a free kick. Lacey involved again, bringing down Gillies after forcing him back 5 or 10 yards, and he was heading forward towards the middle looking for a ball out to ease some of the pressure, but Lacey brought him down before he was able to play that. So Darlington with a free kick just inside the Gainsborough half, and the referee, the assistant's flagging for something.
And it's another Darlow penalty. As the free kick was being flighted in there, the assistant on this near side had his flag up, waving frantically, trying to get the referee's attention. Ultimately signalled that it is another Darlow penalty. Several Gainsborough players over there wondering why.
Well, I saw the assistant referee flagging immediately. He was flagging enthusiastically, and the referee took a few seconds to look over, and it was very clear, the indication, wasn't it? It was pulling a shirt, and he was flagging in Darlington's direction. He had no mistake at all. I have to say, I think that's two penalties that certainly don't look to have been absolutely clear from where we're sitting here. So let's see if Darlington can take the chance to put this second one away.
So Galbraith v Willis Part 2. Excuse me. So, probably about 2 minutes since the last penalty. Galbraith will get a chance to beat Willis again from the spot. And this time it is in. Same way. Willis goes to the right again, but this time it's underneath him. And this time, second time of asking, Galbraith has equalised from the spot for Darlington. It's Darlington 1, Gainsborough Trinity 1.
Same penalty taker, almost the same spot. Willis got his hand to it again, right side, almost kept it out. I noticed that Falkingham was, I think, trying to take the ball off Galbraith in the run up to the penalty there. I think trying to suggest that it might be better to have a different taker to take some of the pressure off Terry Galbraith. But he stepped up, he made sure he won that wrestle for the ball, and he took it and placed it firmly down to goalkeeper Willis's right hand bottom corner.
I think possibly the first penalty a couple of minutes earlier, it was close enough to Willis that he was able to get his hands to it. This time it was right in the corner. So even though, again, Willis went the right way and did get very close to it, it just wasn't quite enough. And this time Darlow are back on terms. So Gainsborough getting us back underway. Sparrow now with the ball just inside the Darlow half, lofting that out to the right. Flick on, but Watson's able to clear under pressure from Jarman. And Sparrow will try to knock that forward again. Jarman trying to lay it off, only finds Gillies, but his control lets him down and it's out of play for a Gainsborough throw just inside the Darlow half. As we approach half time, about 2 or 3 minutes of the 45 to go. Lacey with throwing for Gainsborough, goes long looking for Jarman, and he does get the flick on. And it's lofted over looking for Mars, but it's ended up on the roof of the net. Dangerous moment for Darlow there. A couple of players have ended up in the net, but the ball hasn't. I think from the flick on, it wasn't Jarman with the flick on, but it was Jarman chasing it down, and he's able to loop the ball over. 2 or 3 Gainsborough players coming in with Mars challenging them, but ultimately ball on the roof of the net, so it's a Darlow goal kick. And a little chance for a breather. Referee just inspecting the net. After a couple of players ended up in the... in fact, never mind inspecting the net. I think the couple of players ending up in the net has done a little bit of damage. Running repairs needed.
Be interesting to see how Gainsborough Trinity react there, because as we say, there were two. We can't see as well as the officials from up here, but they didn't look like absolute stonewallers, and I think certainly the second penalty decision coming so quickly after the first did seem to frustrate them a little bit, understandably. So it'd be interesting to see how they react, I think.
Yeah, I think they'd started to get the game a bit their own way since taking the lead. So the penalties the 2 penalties, I suppose, have perhaps knocked the wind out of their sails a little bit, and it's always good to get a goal just before half time as well. So Darlington will have suddenly the first half looks a little more positive for Martin's team talk at half time. But as you say, it's hard to tell from up here whether they were legitimate appeals. Certainly the referee gave the first one without hesitation, and the assistant on this near side for that second one, flagging very frantically, definitely thought he'd seen something. Jameson free kick then flicked on by Beck, and Picton with the clearance. Mars winning the ball against Jarman, but only so far as Worsfold, who's gotten a flick on and he's working space for a shot. And from the edge of the box, Worsfold having a shot right-footed, Jameson scrambling to get a hand to it, but it does just go over the bar. Jameson's touch not needed. Darlow goal kick, but it's another chance for Gainsborough there. Good work by Worsfold to set it up, taking on a couple of Darlow defenders, making a yard for himself. Gary Brown trying to bring the ball away, but referee rules that the previous challenge that led to Brown taking possession of the ball was a foul, so Gainsborough have a free kick. Of course, that penalty puts Terry Galbraith back at the joint top of the Darlow scoring charts with 6. Hardy's there with him. 4th penalty of the season, if my numbers are right. Gainsborough free kick low into the box, but ultimately dealt with by Darlington, and Thompson can bring the ball away now. Thompson breaking, his touch was a little heavy, and Reid is able to charge that down, but Gillies can pick it up on the left. Moving into the centre and plays it out to the right for a great little ball across the middle for Mars. Mars back to Falkingham, brings it forward just into the Gainsborough half now. Falkingham to Gillies, but he's had to put himself under pressure there, and ultimately is fouled Jarman trying to win the ball back. So Gainsborough will get a free kick late on in the first half. I'll make it that we're about a minute into added on time now.
Yeah, I think Jordan Watson took one for the team there, didn't he? I think Darlington were under a little bit of pressure, and he made sure that if he didn't get the ball, he was going to bundle into the back of the attacker, and he's going to get a yellow card for his trouble.
So 1 yellow card each from the two sides. Jarman earlier on for Gainsborough, and now Jordan Watson in the book. Gainsborough free kick. I think it's going to be James Reid to swing it in, left-footed. And that's gone long, too long for everybody, and it's out for a goal kick. We're moving to a 3rd minute of added on time. Now Jameson with the goal kick. Wiles heading clear. Watson chasing with Worsfold. Watson wins the chase and plays the ball forward looking for Hardy, but ultimately Wilson's there first and can clear it. Going to be a Darlow throw in. Watson with the throw in. Turnbull makes himself available and Watson goes short to him. A little bit of interchange between Watson and Turnbull, and then he drills the ball out to the right looking for Thompson, but it's just a little ahead of him, and that'll go out for a Gainsborough goal kick. And you have to wonder if once the ball's in the air here we're going to get the half-time whistle. Referee having a look at his watch. George Will is certainly in no hurry to take this, just ambling over slowly to pick the ball up. Keeping everybody who's waiting for their half-time cuppers. Just waiting a little longer, and now choosing to take the goal kick from the opposite side of the 6-yard box to where the ball went out. Just use up a few more seconds. Referee just signalling to him to hurry up. Well, this does finally take the goal kick, and Galbraith can head that away under no pressure. Beck has the ball now. And under some pressure from Picton, he goes down, and the referee awards a free kick, and we aren't going to get the half-time whistle when I thought we were. So just inside the centre circle in the Gainsborough half. Darlow free kick. It's going to be Phil Turnbull to take it. No one except Jameson in the Darlow half. Everybody in the Gainsborough half waiting to see where this free kick goes. Turnbull lofting it forward. Ultimately headed away by Gainsborough. And the referee does now blow for half-time.
To Pascal, and I think we've got Phil listening in Turkey. We've got some guys in Wisconsin, and some others. I think Sophie tweeted in earlier as well. So we'll try and keep up with them we can, and we're off anyway. So Darlington take the kick off, knock it forward to Mark Beck, who wins that first header. Falkingham seizes upon the loose ball, finds Gillies in space on the left wing. Gillies cross into the box is a good cross, and bounce past the Hardy's advances, and Brad Beatson was taking no chances, and he sort of stooped to head that one behind for an early Darlington corner, kicking towards the tin shed here in the far side. So a nice ball from Falkingham into Gillies. Gillies find a little pocket of space as he did, and a good cross. So let's see what Darlington do with the corner. They take it short. They've got 2 men on one here. Galbraith's going to have the chance to deliver. Galbraith does deliver, sticks it into the box. It's a goal! Gary Brown! Head stooped, raised at the back post and headed it into the bottom corner. Great 2-on-1 from the corner. Darlington 2, Gainsborough Trinity 1 in the opening minute of this second half.
Well, you cannot ask for a better start to the half than that. I think Gainsborough have one touch so far, and it was to put the ball out for that corner. Good little bit of work between Galbraith and Thompson from the corner to enable Galbraith to curl that in left-footed from the corner of the box, and 2 or 3 Darlow players up for that with the keeper, and ultimately it's Gary Brown's head that gets on it, and Darlow, from being a goal down after 22 minutes, are a goal up after 46.
Excellent stuff, and Darlington just a little bit cute on the corner, weren't they? They got 2 men over there. They took it short. There was only one defender went out, and Galbraith had all the time in the world to deliver a ball with that wonderful left foot of his from the corner of the 18-yard box, and Mark Beck and Gary Brown both jumped for it, and it was Brown that nodded it in from very close range.
Yeah, for all the talk of playing ugly just before the second half kicked off, we are in the lead from what actually was a well-worked goal.
Exactly. So Gainsborough see what they can do about this now, and they're advancing down their left wing, and Darlington just trying to scamper about. Falkingham trying to snap into challenges to make sure Darlington win the ball and press the ball, but Gainsborough keep possession on the far side, and again Falkingham advances to try and win the ball, and Liam Mars is bundled into the back of, can't quite see who it is on that far side, and the referee has, I think, correctly given a free kick to Gainsborough a yard or 2 in from the touchline on the far side. I think Liam Mars got a little bit too close there and bundled the attacker over. So Gainsborough with a chance to respond with an in-swinging free kick, about 30 yards out, just inside the touchline. Ball comes in, but it's not good enough, and Mars heads it clear, and Thompson gets the second headed clearance, looking for Gillies, and Gillies, who was bright in the build-up to that goal there, knocks it to Hardy, and Hardy's caused an infringement there, sliding in, and the referee indicates that's the first, second, third of those for you, and gives him a caution. So Liam Hardy goes into the book early in the second half.
Not sure it was a tackle on its own that was yellow card worthy, but as you say, possibly the referee sort of signalling around you, 1, 2, 3, possibly on the old totting up, 1 too many infringements, and into the book he goes.
Gainsborough on the ball comes into the box. It's won by a Gainsborough head and head back into the box, but only goes to Terry Galbraith, and Galbraith gets a right-footed clearance on that, and Liam Hardy's charging after it, but he's only second best, and played down the line by Gainsborough on that far side. It's Brad Beatson, the left back, trying to find a nice ball through the channel. It's a nice ball. Chance here for Gainsborough, pull it back, but he's pulled it back behind the attacker, and Josh Falkingham has seized on it. I think 1 or 2 Gainsborough Trinity defenders were trying to suggest it might have hit an arm on the way through, but the referee certainly didn't seem to think so. Mark Beck goes for a header and is beaten to it on the halfway line. So again, Gainsborough come forward through Reid. He's got Picton outside him. He decides not to give it. He's now got no options, so he's going to try and get around Falkingham and Galbraith, and he just loses his footing a little bit there, which gives Falkingham the chance to break with the ball, and Falkingham plays a nice ball inside to Beck. Beck back to Turnbull to Falkingham, just trying to find some space here. Darlington outside of the boot down the line, gives Liam Hardy one to chase up against the substitute Wilson. Wilson gets there first though, and clears the ball tidily up the line. Phil Turnbull's got a little bit of space, he's just going to get to that ball first, it looked, although he didn't quite slide in and pick it up. Burgess gets his first touch and finds Beck. Beck's not offside, so we carry on. Gillies just tried to push it past Josh Lacey there, but pushed it past him but couldn't quite get on the end of it, so it's rolled out of play for a Gainsborough Trinity throw-in. If you had the kettle on at half time, then good news for you to come back to. It's Darlington 2, Gainsborough Trinity 1 here. Gary Brown with an early goal in the second half in the 46th minute. Galbraith wins the header from the throw-in, and Falkingham and Turnbull leave it for each other, and Gainsborough win the header, and the second header also just nod it into space, and all Worsfold can do there is loop it forward, and Kev Burgess, who was a half-time substitute, just eases that one back to goalkeeper Jameson. Jameson clears it long, looking for Beck. And Beck doesn't win the header, but it does enough to make sure that Wilson can only head it out of play for a Darlington throw-in, midway inside their attacking half. The sun's out. We've got some of those long autumn shadows coming on the pitch now as the sun goes a little bit lower in the sky. Gillies wins the ball and tries to clip one into the box, but there's nobody on it. But the referee says that there was enough in there on the challenge from Reid to be an infringement, and Gillies dusts himself down, picks himself up. Reid's protesting his innocence there, but the referee says no, free kick, and Darlington have a free kick. I'd say probably about 28, 29 yards out, something like that, in a reasonably wide area. Now we know Josh Gillies is pretty sharp on these set pieces, but I would think this might just be a little bit out of range for him, but let's see, maybe you'll prove me wrong. It's certainly on the sort of in the area of uncertainty for whether he's able to shoot from here, I would say.
It might be a little optimistic to say he will, but certainly he's got the abilities from free kicks. We've seen that plenty of times already. So it wouldn't surprise me if he had to go, but I do think this will probably just be a lofted one.
So here's Gillies, he does go for it, and over the crossbar. So he's feeling confident, I think, having knocked 3 of those free kicks in from just a little bit closer than that. But I think, as we said, that he was probably stretching it a little bit to get that one up over the wall and down again. And goalkeeper Willis just watched that one go over his head. But a positive start for Darlington in the second half.
Very much the opening, I think, to a similar opening to the first half. Because we got the goal from this bright start as well. But yeah, pattern quite similar.
Goal kick's taken, and it's Kevin Burgess who wins his first aerial challenge of the game. Goes off his head at 90 degrees for a throw-in. Gainsborough going for a long throw there, actually slipped out of his hands a little bit, didn't reach its intended destination, so Darlington gobble it up, but Hardy's ball isn't going to be reached by Turnbull, so Gainsborough have a chance and causes the free kick. I think it was infringement from Burgess. Liam Hardy's touch back to Turnbull was just a little bit out of his reach, and that put Darlington under a little bit of pressure there.
It looked like as he was running through there, I think he was about ready to take the shot. There was just a little tug on the back of his shirt, and he felt it went down, and dangerous area this.
Yeah, very dangerous area. It's only 2 or 3 yards outside the box. It's in a good space. It's in that sort of Josh Gillies area, only it's just at the other end of the pitch. So Pete Jameson lining his wall up here. Darlington a little bit self-inflicted, I think, this particular opportunity.
Just watching the Darlow bench, it looked like we were preparing a sub there, but the bib's gone back on for now, while we see how this pans out.
So I can see it's Reid and one other there for Gainsborough. I can't see who it is. But it's going to be a right-footed shot. And he thumped it. He caught a great contact on him. It's gone wide. Referee gives a corner. There's 3 Gainsborough Trinity players appealing for handball there. Referee's not interested. He stood with his hands on his hips, and there's a 5th Gainsborough Trinity player going over at the referee to try and have a word there. I think that's probably based upon the decision in the first half where he gave the 2 penalties. Well, certainly it was a strong shot, and the referee says, no, that's too many gathering around me, and Jordan Thewlis has said a little bit too much for referee Paul Newhouse's liking, and he's given him a yellow card, which has backed some of these Gainsborough players off a little bit. So it's going to be an in-swinging corner for Gainsborough, kicking towards the open end. Bends the corner flag out of the way, tries to find a little extra few inches of space. Box is packed here. Darlington looking to defend. Ball comes in swinger. It goes past everybody apart from Kevin Burgess, who again doesn't clear it convincingly. Ball comes back in, and that hits Falkingham's head. I think he's given, and the referee's given a penalty there, but I have to say, from where I am, it didn't look to be as if it hit his head at all.
Looked to me like it came off his back, to be honest. The Gainsborough players are already claiming a penalty for the initial clearance, and then they've tried to cross it again, and Falkingham sort of turned his back on it as it's coming in, and it looks like to me it's hit him in the back, maybe on the shoulder, and again another one of those where the referee's got a better view of it than us sort of here in the stands, and
you've got to wonder how much the previous incident influenced him there. There was 5 or 6 Gainsborough Trinity players around him trying to ask for what looked a very optimistic shout, but anyway, Newhouse gives the penalty, so Gainsborough have a chance through Reid to equalise, and Reid scores, puts it to Pete Jameson's left. Jameson went right, so I think it's been if I'm being honest, I think that's 3 soft penalties in this game so far. I really didn't see the infringement there, and Gainsborough have earned a way back into this game, or they've been given a way back into this game anyway, and it's Darlington 2, Gainsborough Trinity 2. We thought we were going to see goals today, Michael. We said that beforehand, and that's 4 of them so far.
That's 4 so far, yeah. 2 from the spot. We've had 3 penalties, 2 of which have been scored. We've got Nathan Cartman coming on now for Liam Hardy. So Cartman's going to get just over half an hour.
Darlington had started the second half ever so well, and again, just going back to the initial bit of pressure, Hardy's ball back to Turnbull just put Darlington under a little bit of pressure for that free kick, and then the corner which led to the infringement came from that spell. Kevin Burgess as well, I think, will be disappointed perhaps with how he dealt with the ball coming into the box as well when he had the opportunity to clear it, gave it straight to the opposition, which allowed them to fire the ball in Falkingham's direction. But we're back underway. Darlington 2, Gainsborough Trinity 2. Burgess on the ball just inside his halfway line, his own half, knocks it forward towards Beck. Beck's wrestling for the ball there, but the referee doesn't give a free kick. Gillies picks it up, trying to move his feet quickly, gives it back to Falkingham. Falkingham knocks it into the box, but well over Cartman's head that, and nobody so much on the end of that. Turnbull was hoping to be the recipient of that pass, but Falkingham went into the box instead, and George Willis wandering over to get that ball. I think he's going to just be happy to just slow things down a little bit. Gainsborough, I think, would be delighted to be back in the game. So we've had 11 minutes of this second half so far. Darlington 2, Gainsborough Trinity 2. Willis takes the goal kick. It's bounced all the way through there, and I think Thewle is trying to keep it in, and the assistant referee's flag just goes up and says the ball had gone out of play. So throw in far side, Mars is going to take it. Darlington kicking towards the tin shed in this second half. Beck in between two defenders there, and the assistant and the referee look at each other for a long time and give Darlington a throw in. I don't think they in truth knew who it came off last. Mars just on the halfway line throws that one down the line. Beck and a couple of defenders again wrestling, but Beck wins the throw in again. He had one defender, I think it was Jordan Thewlis, hanging off his back, but Darlington take the throw in. Mars knocks it inside to Turnbull. Turnbull to Galbraith, who's playing as a kind of orthodox left back in the second half since the substitution. Gillies turns and almost slips, but keeps possession and just twists and turns, looking for an out ball. Gets it in Gary Brown. Gary Brown brings it back onto his right foot, and he knocks one onto Mark Back's head, and he's doing a little bit of wrestling, but the ball's gone over everybody, and Nathan Cartman tries his best to keep it in, but the assistant referee puts his flag up and says that the ball went out. So Cartman coming on just a few minutes ago for Liam Hardy, as Martin Gray starts to utilise some of the bench he's got. He's got 4 very good outfield players on the bench that have the potential to be able to change the game here. So that's 2 of his substitutes on already. Willis takes the goal kick, and Kevin Burgess wins the header, but can only direct it out of play for a throw into Gainsborough, far side. Beautiful autumn day here, nice day for watching football, very, very still, very calm. Gainsborough play the 1-2, get it back to the thrower and clip a long ball, sort of a hopeful ball up, which Kevin Burgess deals with comfortably. Gillies' touch is nice, brings it inside to Thompson. Thompson just drops it off to Phil Turnbull. He's in his own half, but Turnbull does a nice little Cruyff turn to sell someone a dummy, and then passes it long cross field towards Beck. Beck wins the header, and Cartman can't get in the right spot really to get on the end of that one, so the ball's lobbed forward. Burgess to Brown. Brown's got Terry Galbraith on the outside. Galbraith just got stuck there a little bit, is being dispossessed, and Gainsborough have the chance to push on. Ball's with Jarman. Jarman's 30 yards out. He's trying to poke the ball through there to Worsfall, but he can't collect it, so Jameson comes and half slips on the clearance as he clears it out of his hands, but he manages to find Stephen Thompson, who pulls it out of the sky nicely, and Mars knocks it forward to Beck. Beck onto Cartman, and again Cartman just slips a little bit, and the referee's given an infringement there. Not entirely sure what that's for. He hasn't helped us by indicating either. He just sort of shrugs his shoulders as if we should all know what that was, but I'm not actually sure what it was for.
I think he thinks Beck might have been leaning in as he won that header, but didn't look to be a lot wrong with it with me.
So we've got David Sayers coming on to make his Darlington debut here for Josh Falkingham. See what David Sayers is all about. So that's Darlington's deck shuffled now, and all three substitutes on. Kevin Burgess coming on for Jordan Watson at half time, and Nathan Cartman for Liam Hardy 8 minutes into the second half. And just as we get to the hour mark, that's the third substitution made as David Sayers comes on to make his debut in place of Josh Falkingham. So the ball's just picked up there by Gillies, and Sayers gets his first touch and drops it off to Gillies, and Gillies knocks it back to Galbraith. Nice footwork by both players there. Comes to Turnbull. Turnbull's found the ball to Thompson there, which is a nice pass. Mars' touch is a little heavy though, and Darlington going to have to defend here. Mars just dropped the ball off there. He's got back in to try and stop this counter-attack, and Gainsborough on the edge of the box, and the Gainsborough attacker knew he was offside there and stepped back from the ball to save the assistant the need to put his flag up. So Pete Jameson picks it up, scampers to the edge of this box, rolls the ball down and kicks it long. Beck competing again there, and I noticed that Beck's been pursued by Jake Picton almost every aerial ball in this second half. I don't know whether that's a deliberate piece. Every time the ball goes up for Beck, Picton's pretty close by. Thompson's done a lovely bit of footwork there, put a lofted cross into the box. Beck's going to try and get on the end of it. The goalkeeper comes and punches. No infringement, says the referee, and Burgess tries to keep the ball moving along but miss kicks. So Darlington briefly 2 against 2, but Brown tidies up. Burgess still in an advanced position, but he plays the ball back to Brown. Brown back to Galbraith on this left side. Galbraith looking for an option, gets his head up, but there's nothing obvious for him, so he has to come inside, and then Cartman makes some space in front, picks up the ball, gives it to Gillies. Gillies he's trying to play Cartman back in there, but Cartman was never going to get on the end of that there, and substitute Matthew Wilson just eases that one back behind goal. Darlington certainly trying to be patient on the ball, aren't they, and waiting for space.
Yeah, you can see what they were trying to do. That's a couple of times in the last few minutes Galbraith sort of been caught with the ball at his feet, just waiting for a player to make himself available while Gainsborough move in to close him down. First time almost got us into trouble, got away with it that time, but perhaps a little more movement.
So James Reid, the scorer of Gainsborough Trinity's second goal, has just been replaced by Matthew Templeton. Well, he's just about to be. Reid just wandering off pretty slowly. Crowd trying to get Darlington going a little bit here, a little bit quiet in the first half, but the tin shed looks certainly more full in the second half as everybody's circled round behind the goal that Darlington are attacking, as is the tradition here. 63 minutes gone, Darlington 2, Gainsborough Trinity 2, here on Darlow Fans Radio. Thompson picks up the ball, knocks it to Turnbull. Turnbull twists and turns, and again just looks for an option in front of him, but goes for Beck. Beck's going to win that first header. Cartman's on the end of it. He's onside. He's not. The assistant put his flag up a little late there. I had a quick glance and it stayed down, but Cartman had prodded the ball past the goalkeeper and it had gone out of play anyway. I thought he was going to have beaten the offside trap there. It must have been a close one. Beck winning the flick on header, and Cartman just gambling a little bit.
Slightly late flag. It looked pretty close from up here. We don't have the exact angle, but
yeah, I took a look, and when I looked, glanced in that direction, the flag was still down. It must have went up after that. So Willis takes the free kick. He clears it straight out of play on the far side, up on the grassy knoll over there, and someone throws it back to Liam Mars, and he wipes the ball with his shirt, throws it down the line. Beck knocks it onto Thompson, and Thompson plays the ball off it's half cleared and comes off a Gainsborough player last, so it's a throw into Darlington in a central position. Mars throws it down the line. Beck collects it on his chest, doing a lot of work with his back to goal today. I guess that's his job, that's what he does. Gives it back to Mars. Mars pokes one down the line, and it looked like Cartman was bundled in the back there from Picton, and the referee says he was, but he's let them play on. So Thompson's going to try and get around the outside, and Thompson does get around the outside, but Gainsborough get a half block on it and hook it clear, hopefully. and emerge with the ball. So nice footwork from Gainsborough, clears it there, and they've got 2-on-2 here, so Darlington going to have to be awake. Gary Brown's going to have to do some covering as Gainsborough on the break, but just inside the box, has a shot, but Jameson saves the first attempt, and the second one's into the side netting, and the referee says that came off a Darlington player last and gives Gainsborough Trinity the corner on the far side. Just a little bit of heart in mouth there, Michael, on the counter-attack.
Very dangerous quick break by Gainsborough there. Good work from German and Thewlis to set Thewlis away, and eventually Jameson out one-on-one to save, and then the second shot, didn't see who it got the deflection off, but eventually dealt with, and Gainsborough will continue to threaten from this corner.
So it's going to be Matthew Sparrow who's going to go over this far side. Gainsborough kicking towards the open end. It's going to be a right-footed in swinging corner from the far side. Darlington have plenty of time to get themselves organised here. The ball comes into the box. Jameson comes and gets a strong punch, a good punch, right-handed, and Sayers kicks it, hooks it clear, and then he's trying to set Nathan Cartman away, and Cartman I think is going to get there first. Yes, he is. He's got the chance to play Gillies in, and he's got there, and Gillies just took it around the goalkeeper. It's a very narrow angle, and he can't keep the ball on the field, but nice play. That's the first time that we've seen Sayers really involved, and he played a nice ball forward for Cartman into some space for him to gallop into, and Cartman saw the run from Gillies, played it just inside, and goalkeeper Willis came out and didn't get it, but Gillies couldn't quite keep the angle right to get a goal-bound shot.
I think the touch from Gillies as he got onto that with the keeper was maybe just a little heavy, gave himself too much to do once he was clear. But good work from Darlow, good ball from Sayers to start that off.
He looks quite a tall figure, Sayers. He's got a mop of blonde hair there, and certainly Josh Falkingham is pretty small, smaller than expected probably, and Sayers is certainly a bit taller. We're back underway here. Galbraith's intercepted a good challenge there and has found a lovely ball to Cartman, Cartman finds space, doesn't he? And Cartman's ball wide is strong and good to Thompson. Thompson's got one-on-one here and just going to the corner of the box, comes inside, and the second defender, it's number 4, Sparrow, just does enough and makes a good tackle. So Sparrow drops the ball back to the left back, Brad Beatson. He does have a knack, Nathan Cartman, of finding little spaces, doesn't he? Or finding big spaces.
Yeah, loads of space to himself there. Just inside the Gainsborough half.
So it's Darlington 2, Gainsborough Trinity 2 here if you're just joining us. Cartman again looking short, trying to push one onto Sayers, but he was having to slide in to even win that ball, and the ball's going to go behind for a goal kick to Gainsborough Trinity. "22 minutes gone in this second half, or thereabouts. Afternoon to Steve Morris. Come on, Supercarts is his shout on the chat line there, and I think there's a few here who wouldn't mind seeing the back of the net Russell from Nathan. Neil Wilson can't hold on to a lead. Yeah, well, that's been the case today, but plenty of time left here for Darlington. Over half of the second half still to go. Gary Brown wins the first header, Galbraith wins the second. Nathan Cartman back to goal. Can't quite find Mark Beck, and Gainsborough again break, and they're still keen to come forward, and the ball's wide with Nathan Jarman. Jarman gives it wide to the substitute Templeton. Templeton's trying to get around the outside of Turnbull, but Turnbull just eases him out of play there. So we're about the halfway point, so I'll pass you on to Michael here with the score of Darlington 2, Gainsborough Trinity 2.
Right, cheers Stuart. So Jameson get us back underway from the goal kick there, just as we were doing a little handover. Ultimately ball has fallen to Alex Wiles just inside the Darlow half, and Gainsborough can come forward. Hewlett taking on Mars, and both got hold of each other there, a bit of a 6 and 2 threes if the ref wanted to do anything about it, but ultimately Mars comes away with the ball, but at the expense of a Gainsborough throw-in. About 4 or 5 yards inside from the byline. Wiles initially went over to take it, but he's leaving it for the left back Brad Beatson, who's going to wind up a long throw into the box, I think. Long throw into the box, but Turnbull's able to head that away quite comfortably, and it lands with Thompson. Lays it back to Mars, who lost the long clearance into the Gainsborough half for Beck to challenge, but Wilson able to win the ball. Gainsborough have it again now. Gainsborough trying to break down the left. Bill Turnbull just got his body in the way there. It's going to be a free kick to Gainsborough, just level with the edge of the centre circle inside the Darlow half. Just bring you up to speed if you are just joining us or have missed any of the earlier action. It's 2-2 at the moment. Nathan Jarman gave Gainsborough the lead in the 22nd minute. Gainsborough then conceded 2 quick penalties. The first was saved, but Terry Galbraith converted the second in the 41st for an equaliser. And then Darlow got off to the perfect start in the second half, scoring from their first attack in the 46th minute, Gary Brown, and then from another penalty, James Reid equalised for Gainsborough in the 55th minute. Darlow have made 3 substitutions. Gainsborough still have 1 card left to play if they wish. Ball now with Stephen Thompson, plays it long, diagonal, looking for Cartman, running over the top. He's beaten Lacey's taken him down there, and the referee has given the free kick. After both players basically ended up on the floor there. I think he was just waiting to see which player would end up with the ball first, and ultimately when Darlow weren't able to take the advantage, he awarded the free kick instead, which Gillies is going to take out on the left. Miles and Turnbull, the furthest players back for Darlow at the moment. All the tall players. We've got Burgess, Brown, Galbraith, Beck. And we're waiting for this delivery from Gillies. Swung in right-footed and ultimately over and away from everyone and out harmlessly for a goal kick.
Yeah, good opportunity to knock the ball into the box there. I think Gillies went back post, everyone else went front post. I think it just floated over everybody.
Yeah, it's a little miscommunication, I think. Not everyone on the same page with that one. So George Willis, Gainsborough keeper, getting us back underway with the goal kick. To the Darlow half where Jarman will challenge with Burgess, but Burgess wins that. Ball out to the left for Templeton. James for a second substitute, and he's brought down by Galbraith. Some fans nearby perhaps thinking that one's a flat free kick award, perhaps a little soft, but free kick it is. Which Sparrow will stand over. Looks like it's going to go out to the left hand side, sort of towards the edge of the box. It's just inside the box. Darlow headers goes past everyone. He's picked up on the left hand side for Gainsborough, trying to work across past Mars, which they have managed to do. So that's a comfortable catch for Peter Jameson in the Darlow goal. His long clearance looking for the onrushing Thompson, but Picton can head that clear. There'll be a Darlow throw, which Liam Mars will take just inside the Gainsborough half. Mars with the throw into Turnbull then. Back to Mars. And across to Brown just inside the Darlow half. He'll bring it forward, looking for some movement ahead of him. Short to Sires, lays it back to Burgess. Turnbull out to Mars. Mars ball into the box, and under a little bit of pressure from Beck there, Willis is able to catch the ball. Willis kicking out of his hands into the Darlow half. Oswald beaten in the air by Brown. A little bit of head tennis. Sparrow, Mars now. He's going to drop onto the right hand side where Thompson's looking to win it, and he has. But his ball forward to Cartman. Headed away by Wiles. But Thompson can come again down the right. He's got Beatson and Wiles with him. He's managed to get the cross in. Beck's played it back across, and it's 3-2 Darlow.
Great work, Darlington. Thompson down the right hand side. Mark Beck went over the goalkeeper. Beck did well to push it back into the on-run, and Cartman stabbed it home from close range. Darlington 3, Gainsborough Trinity 2.
Well, we said before the game all of Gainsborough's recent matches have ended up 3-1 or 3-2. We are now at 3-2, and the winning team always scores 3, so we've got about a quarter of an hour left. It is 3-2 Darlington now. Nathan Cartman adding that one. Great work, as Stu said, from Thompson down the right to get that cross in, and then Beck not giving up on it as it loops over everyone, just manages to get a foot on it at the near post and play it back across the box where Cartman's waiting, and those are his bread and butter. And second goal of the season for Cartman, I think. And it restores Darlow's lead for the second time this half. Back underway now. Galbraith with the throw in for Darlow on the left hand side. Halfway inside our own half. Looking for Beck under pressure from two defenders as is standard, but does come away with the ball and is able to swap passes with Cartman. Eventually Beck does end up dragged to the floor, gets a foot to it, and goes out for what eventually is a Gainsborough Trinity throw-in. Although Beck is wondering why he wasn't given the free kick, you have to say he probably had a point. Gainsborough with the throw-in, then playing it out to their left-hand side for Beatson. And off Gainsborough looking for a ball out to the right, but Galbraith's there to intercept before it reaches Templeton, and he can play it forward to Turnbull. Turnbull taking a few touches looking for a ball and eventually finds Cartman, whose flick on finds Sayers, who's come through here, and Beck, and it's another penalty.
Well, that one was a penalty.
Fourth penalty of the game, and the first one that we can pretty much agree from up here was definitely should definitely have been given. Cartman chesting it down for the on-running Sayers, and as he's running through, he plays it to Beck. Gets brought down, and referee has no hesitation in pointing to the spot, and it's round 3 in Galbraith versus Willis. Two out of the 3 penalties we've seen in this game so far have been converted. Is this going to be 3 from 4? Galbraith, it is! Terry Galbraith goes to the keeper's left this time, and while the keeper once again gets it right, he can't do anything about it. Then it's Darlington 4, Gainsborough Trinity 2. Second of the game for Terry Galbraith, both from the spot.
Things looking much brighter for Darlington in the last few minutes. I mean, that was a great bit of football. The chest from Cartman into, I think it was Sayers' pass actually, or Sayers' path. It was sublime really, and Sayers had all that space to gallop into. And I think, as you say, I think that's the one. That's the first one of the 4 that we can definitely say was a penalty.
Absolutely no question about it, even from up here. And coolly taken by Galbraith going to the keeper's left. And a 2-goal lead for Darlow now.
I think Galbraith's had almost a season worth of penalties, I think, today.
That puts him on to 7 for the season. I think 5 of them have come from the spot. And we've had 23 goals in Gainsborough's last 5 games before today. We've had 6 more now. That's a fantastic effort from Nathan Jarman. On the volley first time from about 30-35 yards out, and it had Jameson scrambling. Would have been quite a goal. Attendance at Heritage Park today, 1,424. Jameson gets us back underway with the goal kick. And Beck pressuring Wilson, and according to the referee unfairly. Suggesting there may have been some arms around Wilson there as Beck challenged for that ball, and the referee's awarded a free kick. Just inside the Gainsborough half. Taken along by Lacey out to the opposite wing looking for Jarman, but Mars is able to flick that out for a throw-in. Brad Beatson's going to take, possibly wind up another long throw, is he? He's gone short this time to Jarman, gets the ball straight back. Looking to work some space for the cross, but ultimately Thompson can bring the ball away. And scrambling under some pressure there, manages to play the ball out to Turnbull. Turnbull outside of the boot looking for Beck running onto it, but it's going to go all the way through to Willis. Well, this is clear. It's causing a little bit of head tennis in the Darlow defence, but ultimately it's volleyed clear, and Willis can have another go. Clearance goes all the way through to him. Burgess able to win that one in the air, and it's helped on its way by Thompson to Cartman, who lays it back to Sayers. To his midfield partner Turnbull. Back to Galbraith at left back, and he plays it out to Beck, who's out here on the left wing. And ultimately wins a Darlow throw-in off Templeton. Galbraith throws the ball back to Jameson. Clears it, looking for Cartman, but Cartman can't win that in the air. Ball does go to Turnbull, whose ball forward is flicked across by Beck, and Gillies has a little bit of space down the left, but he's got two Gainsborough defenders for company. Opts to turn back to Turnbull. Turnbull to Galbraith, cheeky little ball up over Cartman, who leaves it for Beck. That's brilliant work, and Sayers is through here. Could this be 5? It is! A fantastic move by Darlow, and it's a debut goal for David Sayers.
What a goal, great stuff. Darlington's 5th of the day. The ball from Galbraith into Cartman. Cartman just let it go. It was classic Cartman, really. Sent everybody the wrong way. Then the ball was dropped off into Sayers' path on the edge of the box. He took a good touch forward, slipped it past the goalkeeper's left arm. Darlington 5, Gainsborough Trinity 2.
Best move of the game. Brings a 5th goal for Darlow. So much for only needing 3 to win a game involving Gainsborough Trinity. But yeah, beautiful movement from Darlow all through that move. Galbraith past to Cartman. Cartman just looks like he's going to take it in turn, but just leaves it, and Beck's able to pick that up, and eventually he plays in Sayers, who takes a touch, and then Football League quality, which of course is where he's applied a lot of his trade recently, and marks his debut with a goal.
Second half, I think Darlington have been very impressive, Michael. I think they've really stepped up the gas. They've made some early changes, and they've looked strong. They've scored 3 in this. In fact, they've scored 4 in the second half, haven't they? It could potentially have been more.
Yeah, we've had Brown, Galbraith, and Cartman and Sayers coming off the bench to score as well.
Cartman's looked sharp, hasn't he? I think since he's come on, he's so clever.
His movement's definitely top class. It's sort of reached a point now, I think, this game where sort of Darlow look like they could score every time they come forward. Jameson goal kick, Gillies couldn't win it. Gainsborough can come forward now, and Templeton does manage to get past one defender but couldn't get past Brown, and he lofts the clearance long, and Cartman will chase that with Wilson, and Wilson's not getting this all his own way, and eventually does have to put it out for a Darlow throw-in about 25 yards from the byline. Darlow's left wing. Galbraith picks the ball up. Gillies comes to receive that, plays it straight back to Galbraith, who manages to find the ball with the outside of his foot to Gillies, but couldn't bring it under control, and Gainsborough get it clear. Brown will win that and pass it back to his goalkeeper. Jameson taking his time with this one, just allowing himself a bit of time for the clearance, which looks for Beck but couldn't quite find him. Galbraith with a little bit of ball juggling. Onto his knee, onto his left foot, onto his right foot, eventually passes it back to Jameson. Jameson waving the Darlow attack forward. Looks for Beck. Wilson able to head that away for a Darlow throw-in, but again the referee's decided Beck challenging for the ball unfairly.
He's not scored today, Mark Beck, but he's got through an awful mountain of work, hasn't he? I mean, he's been absolutely battered, and I mean, don't get me wrong, he's done a bit of battering himself, but he's worked hard. He's been a handful today.
He certainly has that. I mean, he's always got 2 defenders on him every time the ball comes forward to him, especially the long balls over the top, and he does win his fair share, and I think sometimes the fouls are just because he happens to be quite a tall player, which immediately creates pressure. And
yeah, he gets on with his business, doesn't he? He doesn't want the limelight. He just gets through his work and puts his shift in.
So Darlow throwing Master. Thompson plays it inside to Sayers. Cartman. Thompson looking for a ball over the top into the box, I think, and Gainsborough able to head that clear, but only as far as Turnbull, just level with the edge of the centre circle inside the Gainsborough half. And again takes his time on the ball, looks for an option, plays it to Sayers, who plays it out to Galbraith down on the left hand side. He lofts it forward for Beck, who's able to chest it down, take a few touches, work it back, and Turnbull again. Good spell of possession this for Darlow. Galbraith, and no sooner do I say it's a good spell of possession than Gainsborough get the ball back, but it doesn't last long. Darlow win the ball back straight away. Gillies, Sayers, Burgess. Burgess playing it forward for Thompson. And he finds his way through 2 Gainsborough players and comes away with the ball. He's going away from the Gainsborough goal, but ultimately keeps possession. Fortunately slips just on the right touchline, and Gainsborough get the throw in. But great little spell of possession that for Darlow. Working the ball really well. Gainsborough throw-in headed away by Mars, but Gainsborough can bring it forward again through, I think it's Beatson. Tries to play it down the left, but there's no one there, and that's going to roll out for a goal kick. Just about 5 minutes to go here in this Panorama National League North game. Darlington v Gainsborough Trinity, brought to you in association with Tempest Jones. It's Darlington 5, Gainsborough Trinity 2. Man of the match just announced as Gary Brown, who scored what feels like an age ago now, the second Darlow goal just at the start of the first half. And at half time it was 1-1. Jameson with the goal kick. Gillies is able to win just inside the Gainsborough half, but his flick uncleared by the Gainsborough defence. Galbraith able to head that clear. Gainsborough can come again with Nathan Jarman. Plays it outside for Templeton, who's got it on the right, and there's a little bit of a threat here from Wiles, and his shot across the box. No one following it in, and it ultimately rolls wide. Wasn't threatening Jameson, didn't have any work to do, didn't need to worry about that one. And we can start again with the goal kick, so just a spare minute to run through the goal scorers again for Darlington. Galbraith, 41st minute penalty and 66th minute penalty. Gary Brown, 46th minute. Nathan Cartman, 64th minute. And David Sayers with the debut goal in the 80th minute. And for Gainsborough, the 22nd minute, Nathan Jarman gave them the lead. And the 55th minute, James Reid equalised for them from the penalty spot. Jameson goal kick headed on by Beck. And Lacey got in the header onto that, and Cartman was lurking. If that had been slightly off course, it would have been Cartman through for potentially a 6th, but ultimately Willis is able to collect. Willis lofts it forward, flicked on, but Brown will collect that. And out near the halfway line for Gainsborough throw-in.
One thing I noticed with David Sayers, Michael, a couple of times he's been prepared to get up in front of the 2 attackers, hasn't he? Really sort of advance and get into the box as he did for the goal. And I noticed with Falkingham and Turnbull together, they're both a little bit deeper, aren't they? Sayers seems to be a bit more box to box from what we've seen here.
I've seen it said about Sayers that he does take up some dangerous positions in the final third, and obviously he's got his goal today. He was involved in the move that led to the second penalty for Galbraith, and it certainly seems to be true so far that he's a much more advanced player than perhaps a Turnbull or a Falkingham might be. Willis clearing that ball, although Cartman was almost onto that. Wasn't as comfortable for Willis as he might have liked. Eventually Gainsborough do clear the ball, and it goes all the way through to Jameson. Jameson just taking his time as Ashley Worsfold just trots forward to hurry him up a little. Jameson looking for Beck, but ultimately, although he's being dragged down, the referee, I think, deciding that there was no infringement there, or perhaps trying to play a Darlow advantage that came to nothing, but then it wasn't pulled back. Beck's able to chest that down eventually and play it to Sayers, but Gainsborough win the ball back. Templeton to Jarman. Jarman playing it through, and Thewlis has gotten in behind Brown here, but Brown's managed to recover and get a foot in well. And Turnbull can play that to Gillies. Gillies out to the right for Liam Mars now. As long where Stephen Thompson's able to chest that down, take a couple of touches and steady himself. Sayers out to the left where Turnbull's going to pick that up just inside the Darlow half. Plays it back to Galbraith. Galbraith inside for Gary Brown now. Almost feels sort of more like a possession exercise for Darlow really these last few minutes. Just make sure we don't concede any late goals or make any silly mistakes. Just get through to the final whistle without any late drama, unless it's us creating it at the Gainsborough end. Late tackle on Cartman there, just inside the Gainsborough half, and it's going to be a card. Jake Picton sliding in from behind. as Cartman collected the ball just inside the Gainsborough half. And I think the referee's taken his name, popped him in the book. Now as we pass through the 90-minute mark, just a question of how many minutes the referee chooses to add on to the end of this half. And we had a fair few at the end of the first half, and we'd only had 2 goals and a substitution. We've had 5 goals and 4 substitutions in this half, I think, so we could yet be here a while. Turnbull out to the right for Thompson. Charges forward, gets the cross in. Not entirely comfortable punch from Willis, does land on the edge of the Gainsborough area where Beck can pick it up. Plays it to Turnbull, who gets a kick in the shins from Matthew Sparrow, and that's going to be a Darlow free kick. Taken quickly, and the assistant has his flag up.
Some tired tackles flying in from Gainsborough now, isn't there? I think they want to go home. There's a couple of late challenges there.
So Willis gets us back underway, and Worsfold's able to win that flick on in the air, but ball ends up with the Darlow defence, and Gillies can bring it away. Turns on the left wing, comes forward. Via a deflection, ball ends up with Beck, but his attempted pass back to Sayers is intercepted quite easily. And Miles bringing it forward. Thewlis trying to beat Mars. Ultimately hasn't. Thewlis has made his way into the box here. Chance on here for Gainsborough, but Jameson out well to save at his feet. And the referee had a little slip as well. Gets back up. Good work by Cartman to keep the ball there on the far side for Darlow, and find Phil Turnbull, who plays it to Sayers, and I think it's Cartman's got the ball back now.
I thought he was going to give himself a penalty there, Michael.
Giving everyone else a couple so far today. Great ball out to the left, and Galbraith's got a bit of space here, although Templeton's gone out to keep him company. Galbraith looking for a ball into the middle. Gillies trying to play it short. Turnbull has it, crowd urging him to shoot. Goes out to the left instead for Thompson, who crosses that first time. What a move that would have, what a goal that would have been if something could have come of it. Great ball by Turnbull out to the left, to the right, where Thompson just crossed it in right-footed first time, and ultimately out for a goal kick. But that would have been a fantastic move had something come from the end of it. Moving into the 3rd minute of added on time now. In fact, we won't get there. The referee blows the final whistle. Comfortable in the end for Darlington. The final score, Darlington 5, Gainsborough Trinity 2. Nathan Jarman scoring after 22 minutes to give Gainsborough the lead. Equaliser from Terry Galbraith at the second time of asking from the penalty spot just before half-time. Darlow started the second half perfectly, with Gary Brown scoring more or less immediately from the second half kick-off. It was 2-2 when James Reid equalised from the spot for Gainsborough, and then after that it was pretty much all Darlow. Nathan Cartman making it 3-2. Terry Galbraith with his second successful penalty of the game, making it 4, and then a debut goal for David Sayers 10 minutes from the end, and Darlington will take the 3 points today.
Excellent second half, Michael. I thought they did really well. I mean, came out the blocks. Gary Brown scored early, as you say, and then I thought they were impressive. I think the substitutions probably improved them, whether that was because of the shape or maybe getting some square pegs in